Happy Monday, everybody. Yeah, we're coming back with a great story for this morning. The NYPD police union rips on the suspension of a cop who shouted Trump 2020 over his loudspeaker. Let's pause. Okay, let's pause right here. Number one. I don't think military personnel, I was going to say people, but personnel, or cops, or anyone that's dealing with the public in a government function should be making overtly political statements, i.e., Trump 2020, Biden 2020. They shouldn't be saying Black Lives Matter. They shouldn't be out chanting with Antifa. They shouldn't be out making statements against these groups. Our police force, our military, and to some extent, our leadership in various sects of government should be apolitical as far as overt support goes. Obviously, when you get up to the politicians, you're going to have people supporting their party and things like that. But down at the lower levels, your water service, your police force, your electric company, these should be apolitical services. These should be apolitical factions. You don't want your ambulance showing up with Trump 2020 on it. You just don't. Even if you're a Trump supporter, you don't want your ambulance showing up with Biden 2020, because then you're going to be worried that they'll forget why they showed up in the first place. But still, a cop was suspended for shouting Trump 2020 over his loudspeaker. This is a clear double standard. An obvious one. NYPD Union, the Sergeants Benevolent Association, has accused NYPD top brass of double standard as an officer was suspended for blaring Trump 2020 over a patrol car loudspeaker while his boss was praised for taking a knee with Black Lives Matter protesters. The NYPD has a history of officers making political and outside the norm statements and ignoring it. Suspending this officer is unnecessary and way over the top. Chief of department took a knee with the protesters and no disciplinary action was issued. The union then took even more direct aim at Monahan, retweeting his claim that officers have to remain apolitical, along with a New York Post photo of him taking a knee with George Floyd protesters on June 1st. What's the status of this investigation? Oh, wait, double standard white shirt immunity. So, this is the long and short of this, and this is going to be a really short segment. But seriously, this is the double standard in place. You can support Black Lives Matter all you want, and whoever they support, you can support the left if you want to. But if you say Trump 2020, you're going to get suspended and lose your job? Somebody explain to me in the comments how that is not cancel culture, how that is not pushing for the left. And the weird, I want to say rebel, but it's really like the American in me wants to go, oh, I'm not allowed to say Trump 2020? Guess what? I'm flying that flag. Whether I was voting for Trump or not, I'm doing it now just to show you that I will do the opposite. When did America go from fuck you, I won't do what you tell me, to if you don't support us, you're losing your job? When did that happen? When did the left shift from that? The left has become authoritarian. Outright authoritarian. At least morally and politically. But hey, the right's the fascist. There's this weird shift going on, not only in politics, but in the way we look at the political factions. I can't tell you anymore what I actually am. I can't. I feel politically homeless. Like, for a long time, I've been describing myself as a hard left leaning Republican. Like, yeah, I want the social services, I want UBI, I want some form of universal health care for the American people. But I also think we should be fiscally responsible. I think we should have a plan to pay for it. I like green energy, but I also think that there's no possible way for us to switch from oil and gas, the combustion power, to renewable power anytime soon with the efficiency levels that we're at, given what we have. Um, and I believe that the American people can engineer our way out of anything at this point. But the problem remains, where do I fit? At one point, I would have said, hey, I'm probably a moderate. At one point, I called myself a moderate. I tried making a new YouTube channel called The Moderate Rabbit. And that just doesn't fit. There is a new YouTube channel up. Speaking of which, we'll do some housekeeping because I'm just I'm just ready to wrap this up. The bias here and the double standard could not be clearer. We have police chiefs taking knees with protesters. We have city council members and mayors writing Black Lives Matter on streets. Wasn't it de Blasio that had Black Lives Matter in big yellow letters written on the road in front of the Trump Tower in New York City? But this officer says Trump 2020 over his loudspeaker, and that's too much. Reasonably speaking, should he have done this? No. A reasonable person will tell you no. He shouldn't have done this. It's going to antagonize protesters. It's going to antagonize anti-Trump people. The police force should remain apolitical. I believe that wholly. But if your police chief and your mayor and your major leadership on the police force is going to take a political side and make public political statements, then you should be able to as well. Leadership leads from the front. You set the example. And if you're doing it, your subordinates should be able to do it, even if you disagree with the way they do it. And I guarantee if this guy would have said Biden 2020 or would have shouted Black Lives Matter over this speaker, we would not be having this conversation. Housekeeping time. Over the weekend, I created a new YouTube channel, Rabbit Reports. You should be able to find it. It's it didn't blow up or anything. It's not huge. But it's a backup way for me to make sure that you guys get the videos. I think one of my videos prior to me recording this that I recorded on Saturday has finally published. The other one hopefully will do so today, but I recorded those videos on Saturday. I spent the weekend in contact with BitChute support. Basically was told just to give it a couple of hours and re-upload. So every 2 to 3 hours I've been trying to re-upload those videos. You guys should have them now here on BitChute. However, if you're seeing this on YouTube, BitChute is the primary place for this channel. YouTube is going to be a backup and a extension for people who prefer that platform. That's all I got for this morning, boys and girls. I will talk to you guys later on today, actually. Bye-bye.